We're live.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the regular meeting to order. It's now 7 o'clock. The requirements of the Sunshine Law have been met. This meeting was advertised in Brooklyn County Times on January the 6th, 2023. An electronic notice was given to the NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a moment of silence in honor of December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. Roll call.
Committeewoman Berkeley.
Present.
Committeeman Carr.
Here.
Committeewoman Mungo.
Present.
Committeewoman Wright.
Present.
Mayor Henley.
Present.
Also present, Township Solicitor, Township Administrator Clerk, Police Chief, and Fire EMS Chief.
There will now be a reading of the proclamation, for Veterans Day 2023.
Proclamation, Veterans Day. Whereas, on Veterans Day, we pay tribute to the service and sacrifice of the men and women who, in defense of our freedom, have bravely worn the uniform of the United States. Whereas, from the fields and forests of war-torn Europe to the jungles of Southeast Asia, from the deserts of Iraq to the mountains of Afghanistan, brave patriots have protected our nation's ideals, rescued millions from tyranny, and helped spread freedom around the globe. America's veterans answered the call when asked to protect our nation from some of the most brutal and ruthless tyrants, terrorists, and militaries the world has ever known. They stood tall in the face of grave danger and enabled our nation to become the greatest force for freedom in human history. Members of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard have answered a high calling to serve and have helped secure America at every turn. Whereas our country is forever indebted to our veterans for their quiet courage and exemplary service, we also remember and honor those who laid down their lives in freedom's defense. These brave men and women made the ultimate sacrifice for our benefit. On Veterans Day, we remember these heroes for their valor, their loyalty, and their dedication. Their selfless sacrifice continues to inspire us today as we work to advance peace and extend freedom around the world. Whereas, with respect for and in recognition of the contributions of our service members have made to the cause of peace and freedom around the world, the Congress has provided that November 11 of each year shall be set aside as a legal public holiday to honor America's veterans. Now, therefore, the West Hampton Township Committee does hereby proclaim November 11, 2023 as Veterans Day. We encourage all Americans to recognize the bravery and sacrifice of our veterans through ceremonies and prayer, and call upon federal, state, and local officials to display the flag of the United States and to support and participate in patriotic activities in their communities. We invite civic and fraternal organizations, places of worship, schools, businesses, unions, and the media to support this national observance with commemorative expressions and programs. Dated this 21st day of November, 2023, signed Sandy Henley, Mayor.
Thank you. To our veterans.
Mayor, do we have any veterans that are here today?
Odis Carr is a veteran. Do we have any veteran in it? Thank you, sir. We appreciate your service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We will now move on to the approval of minutes. November 21st, 2023, regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley.
Yes?
Carr.
Abstain.
Mungo.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 301.
We will now open the meeting to the public for comment on agenda items only. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is for comment only. It is not intended as a question and answer period. If you would like a response, please leave your contact information on the podium so that we can respond appropriately.
Good evening, Gary Rivera, 138 Winstead. Speaking on the agenda item, it's 9B, which is the ordinance 11-2023, an ordinance amending Chapter 250 of the TC of West Hampton. It's the zoning ordinance. I'm speaking up, and we've talked about this before during workshops, so I think you kind of know my position. I'm generally in favor of amending the ordinance. I definitely think it needs to be modernized. And you've done a good job, and you're close. The problem I have with this particular ordinance is when I took a look at it, I counted 79 words. The issue I have is the comma. I'd like us all to kind of read that together, word by word. So if you take a look at the ordinance, which I think is page 12 of your packet, right? Page 11 or page 12. So it's the first page of the actual ordinance, highlighted in bold, section 1, 250-22 performance standards, capital letter E, section fences and walls. And you're amending that section in the township code, right? Okay. So if you read that, and the hang-up that I have, like I said, is the comma. So it says essentially, well, there's two, but in any event, if we look we start looking at the second clause, all fences and walls constructed within the township shall be a wood board-on-board type with a natural finish, comma, vinyl or similar material, period. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So my issue is that you can use the comma grammatically, right? Because you are using it here to separate as a list. The problem that I see is that you could read this a couple of different ways. So here you're trying to talk about the material of the fence. Wood, board-on-board type with a natural finish, comma, vinyl or similar material. So the question becomes, and this is what I would be saying, is like, well, if I ask 10 people behind me, I might get 10 different answers. But I'm asking 5 people in front of me. How would you read this, and what would each of your answers be? Number one. Number two, I'd like to run this by the construction official and see what his answer would be. Because I think you're going to have a difference of opinion. Because when more importantly, come shopping with me to go buy a fence. And tell me what fence I should buy, based on the language in this. Because I'm confused. And as we talked about during the workshop, in particular, I'll just sort of paraphrase my sort of observations on this. It's not necessarily, well, I am in support of changing the material of the fence, but it's the type of the fence. Board on board, or otherwise known as shadow box, is a very poor fence for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you got a neighbor and they don't take care of their yard, you're going to get noxious weeds growing through onto your side. Number two, for maintenance purposes, I cannot wash that with a power washer because it's going to sluice through to my neighbor, essentially, right? Number three, if there's a defect and I want to replace one panel or one slat of the board on board, it might be actually cheaper for me to replace an entire panel of the fence. So it's impacting my ability to enter that stream of commerce the most economical way, right? Which is, I think, what you kind of all sort of assented to when I made that observation. And in terms of the material, the finish, I can't paint it. The only thing I can allow nature to do is sort of have the fence fade, right? So it's eventually going to develop a patina over a number of years. So imagine I have a defective portion of that fence. I'm going to have 6 or 7 lengths of the fence one color, since essentially it could be faded, right? And now I get to replace that one section. It's going to be off color. So it's impacting the aesthetics of my property.
Are you saying you can't paint wood fences?
That's what the ordinance says. I'm only reading what the ordinance says.
It says it's board on board. That's what the material is.
Only finish it with clear vinyl and natural finish only. So here's what I'm saying.
So let me ask you this, Gary. This isn't meant to be a question. I'm going to make them mad. But do you also want to have a bunch of fences with a bunch of different colors? Because that's essentially what you're looking at, right? And we've had people come in and complain, especially when you're talking about Spring Meadows, Rolling Hills, how you have like purple garages, and then somebody has a green garage, and somebody has, right? Which initially, when they built the development, they kind of wanted everything to be the same. So if you open that up to painting fences, right? You do realize that you're gonna have a blue fence, a red fence, a yellow fence, a blue fence, a red fence, a yellow fence. Is that what we really want?
Well, I mean, you can come with me and walk the neighborhood, because we already have non-conforming fences in those developments.
Oh, that's a fact.
And number two, in terms of like the uniformity of the actual developments, we have different color roofs. Those townhomes, the blocks that occupy, essentially, you're supposed to get permission from your neighbor to put
Right.
on a different color of the asphalt roof. Some people agree, some people disagree. They put on whatever color they want.
But
Colored shutters,
they
different,
can put on whatever color they want.
I'm sorry.
But they can put on whatever color they want, so they believe, but there's still a point that it's a civil suit involved because it's not supposed to be done, right? I'm not saying, listen, I walk it when I'm trying to get my steps. I'm definitely walking through there. But what I'm saying is I do understand that people have fences they're not supposed to have, right? But the neighbors are kind of allowing it because they're not doing anything else about it, right? But when we put in an ordinance that says it's okay to do it, now that kind of handcuffs the neighbors that they can't do nothing at all. I'm not disagreeing with you. You're throwing me your point, and I'm throwing out a point as well.
Yeah, I'm just talking about in terms of practical aesthetics. I mean, if you just sort of look at the neighborhoods, and I know you walk them, right? You see some fences, there's a lot of rotted wooded fences, right? They have different colors of natural fading, right? So in terms of like all fences being sort of the same color, that's just simply not true. They're all different shades of whatever rotted wood looks like. Okay, number one. Number two, you see fences that are in very poor condition and they're kind of overgrown. So they're being obscured by vegetation or other organic biomatter. You got lichen and moss growing on fences, right? So, the color of the fence, I think, is sort of moot at this point because nature or just wanton waste is sort of changing or affecting the color of the fences as it is. I understand what you're saying, and I think you have a point. I'm just raising my observation about this particular ordinance. I want more freedom to be able to spend my money the way I see fit. I'm smart enough to earn it. I should be smart enough to spend it. And the way that the ordinance is you're basically saying to everybody, hey, you work hard, you're smart, you earn your money. That's great. But in this instance, we, the Township Committee, are smarter than you in knowing how to spend your money because we're telling you exactly what one type of fence you can buy. That's what this says. And I think that's very, troublesome for the citizenry. I think it's troublesome for a variety of reasons.
Let me ask you one other question. To this day, I don't know. I live in Spring Meadows. I don't know if it's my fence or my neighbor's fences. Because my neighbor over here has a fence, my neighbor in the back has a fence, my neighbor to the side has a fence. So now, what about this person who has one type of fence, that person who has one type of fence, and that person who has one type of fence? What do you do in that situation? Because that is probably pretty common in Spring Meadows where every neighbor has a fence, right? And without any uniformity, then what does their backyard look like?
You know what? All you have to do is just walk one neighborhood down from where I'm at in Rolling Hills East, where there is no ordinance impacting those neighbors from erecting any fence they want. Stockade fence, picket fence, chain link fence, vinyl fence, slat fence, solid wall. You name it, it's there. Their property values are high. They maintain their property values, and it does not negate or somehow, impact the aesthetic look of the neighborhood. Yeah, it looks kind of quirky, I guess, because you see one different kind of a fence, but that's the freedom that we have as consumers and as residents that live in this township.
So, Gary, we do have a 3-minute time, but there is a public hearing on the ordinance, and a lot of this pertaining to the ordinance can be done in this public hearing.
No one else? Hello.
Hello, how's everyone?
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa Lawrence Nichols, 50 Roberts Drive. I was here, not last meeting, meeting before last, and raised a concern in regards to the fence and also in regards to the chicken ordinance that you're talking about. I'm back raising the same concerns. I agree with what was said there in regards to the fence. Along with property ownership comes the ability to do with your property to a certain extent what you want. We talk about we're a diverse neighborhood. The diversity of fencing is a part of that diversity. The ordinance as you're proposing it seems to be really restrictive. You're talking about the wood, slat on slat, or whatever it is, or vinyl. I don't understand why, as was said, you can't have chain link, vinyl link, composite, slats, the most expensive, metal, wrought iron. If we're talking about property value, you want your property value to be as high as it can possibly be. And this ordinance is prohibiting property owners from putting up a fence that has the highest value, which to me, that makes no sense. I don't understand that. Why would the town council want to enact an ordinance that does not allow property owners to use their property to the greatest extent possible? That's in regards to the fence. In regards to the chicken ordinance, 10,000 square feet, 4 chickens. I objected originally, I still object. When I went home, I thought about it a whole lot more, and not just had personal feelings about it. I said, let me do a little bit of research and see what I find. Research that I did came up with pros and cons. A whole lot more cons than pros when you're talking about having chickens in residential areas. Some of the
Ms. Nichols, there's going to be a public hearing on the ordinances, and if you want to go into it's just how the agenda is, that yes, this is the time for things on the agenda, but there's a public hearing on that, on specifically the fence ordinance and the chicken ordinance. If you have comments regarding the ordinances, really your input is better during the public hearing than during this section of the agenda.
So what is the purpose of this session?
More for comments on the resolutions, on the reports by the different departments. It is comments on the agenda. You can go ahead and proceed, but how ordinance is introduced and adopted is on first reading, it's introduced. On second reading, there has to be a public hearing. During that public hearing is dedicated to comments on that one agenda item, being the ordinance, the chicken ordinance. I was trying
Based on concerns raised by the public, the determination is made full. Is it possible?
It is possible.
So that's my point. Okay. Just that means it won't take much longer.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
In regards to the pros, one of the pros was improved nutrition, environmental concerns, able to use poop fertilizer for your gardening purposes. The cons, the list was 3 times as long as the pros. Okay? Cons, one was cost of maintaining chickens. It's expensive. You have to, the ordinance talks about the coop and stuff that you have to have. The smell, the noise, the rodents, it attracts mice, it attracts snakes, not necessarily the chickens, but the food that they have. I think the biggest thing folks want is their neighbors having snakes in their yard. Maintenance of it, both on a daily basis. They were talking about how maintaining chickens properly has to be done at least 2 times a day. It takes about an hour of work to maintain a small number, 4 to 6 chickens. You have annual maintenance, you have seasonal maintenance. We're in an area that's cold. You're talking about having to heat the coops. We're talking about the ordinance that's nothing about the electricity that is required. So that's a concern. The dust that arises, the sickness, the vet bills. They talk about how for chickens, many of the vets really aren't that aware of how to deal with chickens. And it is expensive to take chickens to vets. And the final that I talk about is neighbors, problems with neighbors. Yes, someone may have chickens, but your next door neighbor may not want those chickens. So the question that came to my mind, why? Why are you all imposing or suggesting or coming up with this ordinance? What is the purpose of it? Everybody that has come to West Hampton has come here with an understanding of what you can and can't do with your property, both highway ordinance and highway deed. This now is changing that expectation of what folks had in regards to their property. And now saying you can use your property for something that when they originally purchased the property, they could not use it for. You have license fee that's in there. I think it was $25 to $100 for a license. But it doesn't specify $25 for one chicken, $100 for 4 chickens. You don't specify in regards to that, what that actual license fee is. You talk about violations of the statute. My question is, who imposes those violations? Are folks from the township now going to come out and take a look in people's backyards to see what those, the chickens and things, whether or not they conform to what the statute is? That's the added cost that is there. If the property owner, because it says the way that it's imposed, you have up to a $50 fine. How do you do it? You go to municipal court. Who has the responsibility of taking a property owner to municipal court? Is it the neighbor who's dissatisfied, or is it the township official that has the responsibility to do that?
Ms. Nichols, could you wrap up, please? Could you wrap up, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
If it's the township official, you're talking about added costs. If it's your neighbor, neighbors have to bear costs to get a fine imposed against your neighbor for $50. And then finally, they said how maintaining chickens in residential areas lowers property value. I ask you, why is town council imposing an ordinance that is going to lower the residents' property value? You all are supposed to be imposing ordinances for the benefit not of the small group. This comes to my question, why this is being done. Not for a small group, but for the good of the entire township. And I don't see why in the world you would impose an ordinance that's going to lower property values, going to be a hindrance in the resale of property. It's going to be a hindrance in people moving to the township. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Diego Miracapelli at 211 Bridge Street. So, about the chicken ordinance, I would like to say that we have done extensive research regarding the chicken pilot programs around our area. There are 31 different townships that have either adopted a pilot program or a ordinance regarding chickens. And the pilot program has a particular formula. This formula says that, of course, it doesn't have a limitation on acreage, but the person that wants to have chickens, they do have to take a class, a certificate class, in order to learn about how to handle chickens, how to clean the coop, the run, how to put the coop in a certain, distance from doors and windows from the neighbors. The ordinance also says about to have a committee of chicken committee. So the township working with residents can create this committee and then help the people that have chickens on how to handle complaints and etc. So the formula is working. 31 other townships are using it. So why not here? In my personal, belief, I have a property. I would like to maximize it as much as I can, and I would like to have chickens. I'm willing to take a class, which I already did. I'm willing to pay the license for it, and and have benefits of chickens. Chickens are part of the natural world. Of course, you're going to bring rodents and things like that, but those are part of the natural world too. But you have to learn how to take care of it. Snakes and what else? Coyotes, foxes. But there's a way to build the coop and the run. That's why you have to take the class. So I am pro-chicken, and I'm glad that you're listening to everybody. Right now, for example, only Zone 1, Residential 1 is allowed to have chickens. I live in Residential 2, and I think you should include also all residential zoning for chickens. So that's why we initiated also this conversation with the township. So that is my opinion about it, and thank you.
Diego, how many acres is your property?
My property has 3 acres.
Thank you.
Yes.
What were you going to say?
Some of my neighbors, for example, they have lesser amount, and maybe some of them have less than half an acre. They have families, they have, growing children. Some of the benefits of having children also, chickens. Yeah, children too. It is to, teach them responsibility, right? And of course, the benefits of eggs and things like that. So I'm also trying to help them get chickens. So it's not just about me. It's about my neighbors and people that don't have that acreage. And it's not just about the village. It's also about West Hampton. We have to talk about all West Hampton, not just, where I live, the village, So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Dan McGonigal, 200 Bridge Street. Ms. Berkeley, on that comment, I could have like 10 acres behind my house and still put a chicken coop 20 feet from a neighbor's house. I could have 100 acres with 20 chickens or 30 chickens and put it 10 feet from a neighbor's house.
I understand.
On behalf of myself and my wife, I just wanted to express my support of a backyard chicken program. I'd like to remind the committee that there are dozens of other townships nearby that have successfully implemented these programs in recent years, many of which have populations greater than and lot sizes smaller than ours. There is some opposition, of course, but there's also, I think, some unrealistic ideas of what effect it may have on the township. A good example is Haddon Township. They're kind of like the gold standard for backyard chicken programs in the area. They have a population of about 15,000, and in speaking with people there, the only issue they've had with the program that I've been made aware of is a resident failing to renew a license. I think this program could be a great benefit of living here, and I hope the committee gives it a chance. Thank you.
Hi, Trina Wakely, 200 Main Street. I wasn't going to speak, but Nancy, I have .97 acres. I have 2 barns. I have nothing I can do on my property. I can't have horses, I can't have a goat, can't have bunnies, I can't have even 2 chickens. So when I came from Haddon Heights on a quarter of an acre, you can have 4 chickens. So I don't even really want chickens, but I want the option, if I do, I have 2 barns. I'd like to put chickens in it, possibly. 2. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Don Shirisi. I live at 210 Bridge Street with my wife, Beth. Everybody knows time, BC and AD. Well, BG, before Garcia, our neighbors were the Olivias who lived in that house, and very good people. They had chickens and a rooster. Now, I got along fine with the chickens. The rooster was a little iffy, but he was a cranky son of a gun. But the chickens were great, and I have no problem with chickens. And I happen to be live next door with my wife to Dan, and I have no problem with them having chickens or anybody else having chickens. I think that's the least of the problems. I've been in this town since at least 68, and I have never seen a snake. So I can't say that there's never been a snake. I can only say I never saw a snake in Rancocas. But, and the chickens have not caused a problem at any time in several years that they raise chickens. And I support if neighbors want chickens, then I support each and every one of them. I don't think you need 6 acres to have chickens. You do need a good coop, and you do need some care. But assuming, and I don't doubt for a minute that Garcia or Todd, would be anything but a great, resident in that regard. So, on behalf of any of the applicants, it will be supported. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Ken Buber. I live on 206 2nd Street, Rancocas Village. Lived there for 35 years. We've had chickens in the past before the ordinance prohibited it. And I can say that in regards to some of the comments, it didn't take an hour a day to take care of them, and then we took very good care of the chickens. As far as other issues that were brought up, I don't think they attract snakes. I just never did see that as a problem, or rats or anything like that. I find it distressing that we've gotten to the point where I think we are more inclined to allow semi-trucks and warehouses in the village than we are chickens. So with that being said, I hope that you vote for chickens. Thank you.
A motion to close public comment?
All in favor? Favor.
Who's that?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinance is the second reading, I'm sorry. I'm gonna ask for a continuance. I know Committeewoman Berkeley brought up that we needed to have it reviewed for at least 10 days. Our administrator was out last week, so we didn't have, I think we had 10 days on the news or 9 days or something like that. So we're going to ask for a continuance to actually vote on it for our next meeting. Do we have a motion for a continuance?
So move, Berkeley.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Aye.
No. Gotta vote, sorry.
Ayes, roll call.
Berkeley.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Longo.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
can I bring up a couple of questions?
So who?
Ms. Berkeley, just on this ordinance, if I could just ask that, if it's okay with the mayor and the committee, that the comments that were made during public comment today be included in the record as part of the public hearing, so that they don't need to be repeated in the
That's fine.
future.
But there's some new things here that we didn't talk about before that I just wanted to bring up. If that's okay, I could question them.
I guess it's open for public discussion then, or for the committee discussion?
For committee discussion?
Committee discussion.
Sure.
Well, one of the things that this was added is, number one, we had an amendment last time to put in a pilot program for 2 years, and it wasn't in this version. I did not see that written down. So that needs to be added before we vote on it. The second thing is,
Well, real quick, it wasn't, we were talking about doing 1 year now, not 2
or
years.
whatever it was.
No, I'm just making sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, Ms. Berkeley, if I can address that. Section 4 of the ordinance states, "The ordinance shall take effect January 1st, 2024, shall expire on December 31st, 2025, unless extended by ordinance adopted by the Township Committee. Prior to its expiration or extension, the Township Administrator shall report to the committee the number of permits issued pursuant to this ordinance and summary of any issues relative to the keeping of chickens in residential areas of the township." That's what establishes as a pilot.
Okay.
That
Does
is-
that mean that next year we have to vote on it again?
Yeah,
Correct.
It doesn't just overturn unless we decided to?
no.
Correct.
We have to,
Okay,
It says
Right.
December of
Till
25.
25. It's 2 years.
2 years.
You're right. 2 years.
can we change that to 2024?
If there's an amendment to it, yes.
Are you guys?
I make a motion to amend.
Second. And I say that to collect, like, if it's something that we do vote on, right, just to collect the data. Like, I think that we're pretty good at when people come up or people talk about what's on their mind, that we try to implement that and try to take a look at that. To all fairness, and I'm not trying to steal the thunder from you, Committeewoman Berkeley, but if it's something that is causing a lot of headaches, it gives people an opportunity to be able to express that. But it also gives the other side of the coin. If people are having, if it's tremendously successful, like, others deem like it is in other townships, it gives an opportunity for you guys and everyone to express that as well, and maybe get more buy-in. So I think that gives us the time to be able to collect data, to be able to hear each other, not just as a committee, but as neighbors that live together, right? And see what makes sense and what's good for a committee as a whole. With that being said, Ms. Berkeley, or Committeewoman Berkeley, you have other things?
Thank you. The other one is you added duplexes to this. Now, duplex is connected by a wall in the middle. So it's fine that you can say the coop and the run has to be so far, but it also says that the chickens can be run in the property as long as it's fenced in, which means that fence is going to be right on the line of the neighbor and right on the line of the back door. I don't think it should be duplexes. I think it should be single-family homes, so there is some distance when the chickens run around. They're not going to be sitting right on the back door of the duplex.
Which section is that?
I did write it down. Give me a second, please. Page 2. It says single-family, semi-detached, or duplex or two-family home at the top of the page.
Do we have duplexes?
What section was that?
Yeah, we have duplexes.
Section 88-18, definitions of residential property.
We have a whole section of it.
Where?
On the other side of the turnpike from me. Also, Rancocas has a bunch of duplexes, but it's on the other side of the turnpike. I know there's a bunch of duplexes.
The only other thing that I would like to add, I think Diego brought up a good point with the committee, like having a committee on this. I don't know if that's something you would put in the ordinance, or you guys think that's, but I think having like a special committee just for this to kind of review, at least during the pilot year, maybe.
I have an issue.
Are you going to have someone prove that they have 10,000 square feet?
Will they be able to identify that?
When we-
with their-
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was looking at the setback requirements to see if it addresses Ms. Berkeley's concern.
It just says they can run free as long as there's a fence to keep them in, which could be up to the property line.
They'd be board on board.
Outside, as long as it's during the day.
It does have requirements that the shelter enclosed run shall be at least 10 feet from any property line, at least 15 feet away from any principal residential dwelling unit on an adjoining property. So in a duplex situation, the other side of the duplex would be the principal residential dwelling unit on the adjoining property. So,
Well, look down at number 6. Number 6 says chickens may be permitted to roam outside of the shelter and enclosed run during the daylight hours in the side and rear yards only if the residential property is appropriately fenced in accordance with the township code. So basically, this during night is only when they have to be enclosed in a smaller area. During the day, if you have a fence all the way around the outside of your house on the side and the back, the chickens can roam free.
So would the duplex then just not qualify? Because it doesn't meet the other parameters? Not just because it's a duplex, it's because it can't meet the other part of what the township will be asking for. So does it just, even if you have a duplex on there, the likelihood that if I'm just asking a question, saying this, if there's a bunch of duplexes, and there's 2 duplexes that do qualify, but the rest don't qualify because they can't meet the parameters, would they then just be declined from having the chickens altogether?
Depends how big the property the duplexes are on.
Right, so do we want to paint, are we able, and again, I've been around here for 22 years, I've never seen a duplex, but I don't know everything about
It's
what's
like
around.
Barnesfield Swim Club down that area. There's duplexes.
So what I'm saying is, do we want to paint all duplexes with one brush to say that they all won't qualify? Or do you want to just take it case by case, and if they meet all, they check all the boxes, they can do it. If they can't check all the boxes, and they
Then
don't
they wouldn't get their
qualify.
license.
Right, they wouldn't qualify.
What about the box that they can run around the outside of the shelter as long as they have a fence up to their property line?
But don't we have some parameters on what a chicken can do and can't do? Like,
No.
if we're saying that they got to be out a certain time during the day, or they got to do X, Y, Z, they don't qualify. They can't do it. How can they possibly, if they can't meet the fact that the chickens can't be out during the day, that's just like how people on the web talking about the dogs barking all day. You think that people aren't going to say this chicken is out all day? or this chicken is enclosed all day? You could ask Chief Ferguson, I'm sure he'll get that call all day long. So I think that at that point, they don't qualify. We've never had an issue saying that certain things don't qualify. I don't think, but I don't mind changing it if you want to change it. It doesn't, but I don't think that it's wise to just say, because unless we know every property structure that a duplex is on, you're going to say a duplex doesn't qualify, when then we've never heard from people who had a duplex, but I'm sure we will if they wanted to get a chicken and say, hey, because I have a duplex, how come I don't qualify? Is what I believe you can run into.
And their half of the lot would have to be the 10,000 square feet, which is almost a quarter acre.
Right.
And typically duplexes are situated on smaller lots that are a quarter acre or less for both sides of the property.
Okay, I mean,
But it's a continuous, so continue to look at it,
It
we'll
is.
talk about it. You know,
but just no duplex. The fence is going to be on the line between the two duplexes.
And I'm going to walk and find these duplexes too.
The other thing is, as I said before, I have no problem. My grandparents had chickens, but I think 10,000 square feet is very small. And we got 4 letters that were sent to us by people that were pro-chicken, and 2 of them had less than 10,000 square feet in their own yards. One has less than 7,000 square feet. The question is, are we going to say, I don't care if you have 9,000 square feet, if you don't have 10,000 square feet, you can't have a chicken?
When have we ever said that?
Ordinance says it.
I mean, well, first of all, it's not our job to say that. We input the ordinance, but the people who are hired, the township, who work for the township, the professionals are the one who enforces it,
So that's
right?
a lot of checking. That's
Well, just to issue the license, and to do that, you have to give your property address, which then has the square footage of the
Right.
property.
okay.
So I feel like it's a quick check before issuing a license.
And I just want to remind the township committee that there was a letter that they never saw that 24 people signed that do not want chickens.
Thought we got that the last.
Yeah, we gave it to us last
Right,
time.
but I had
Handed
sent
it
it
out.
earlier and it didn't get to be emailed to you.
Oh, no, we got a copy of it.
Right,
We
you
got
got a copy.
of it last meeting.
Yeah, I gave it to you.
Yeah,
Because someone didn't, it wasn't emailed to you when I sent it to you.
we saw it.
My point is, there are people also who do not want these chickens.
Oh, I mean, listen, and I believe it's Dr. Nichols, not Mrs. Nichols, correct? Dr. Nichols came and expressed exactly what she didn't want, and she respectfully brought her reasons why she didn't want it. It didn't go unheard, like, it did go unheard. And, you know, and the other part of the room discussed what they wanted. And Dr. Nichols brought up a good point. It's West Hampton as a whole. Unfortunately, we don't really have a fingerprint on West Hampton as a whole. We only have a fingerprint to the people who come in the room, right? And then the letters were written. But I think fairly, even when we're talking about that we're going to do something for a year isn't that long, and that gives us enough data to know if it's for West Hampton or if it's not for West Hampton.
Okay.
That's what I believe, and again, I say this all the time, I'm one vote. There's 4 other votes up here and 4 other different opinions, and that's what makes our government and West Hampton what it should be. Fair enough?
Vote your conscience. 10,000 square feet is 0.22 of an acre.
All right. So,
There were 2 comments about amending the ordinance. One was an amendment for the term to expire on December 31st, 2024.
Correct.
We would need a motion, a second, and a vote on that.
I thought we did.
No.
I think there's a motion, a second, and discussion, but there wasn't a vote.
Okay.
So do we have a motion
You already have the motion.
for the
Amendment.
amendment? Do you have a motion for the amendment?
You have a motion and you have a second.
So
Roll-
it's just roll call.
Roll call?
Berkeley.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Longo.
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Then there was some discussion regarding possibly amending it to establish a committee. There was not a motion or second or any details on that.
Can we have a motion to establish a committee?
How many people would you want on the committee, and who would the appointments be?
I'd make a motion to establish a committee consisting of 4 members of the public at large, 2 people from the committee to meet no less than 6 times.
How about one person for the committee, so you have an odd number of 5?
Got it.
That's good?
Could you say that again, please?
A motion of a committee made up of 4 members from the public at large, chosen by the mayor, with 1 person from the committee to meet no less than 6 times for the year of 2024.
Could we have the zoning, would it be possible to have the zoning officer a part of that?
Now you're talking about 6 people. You get 3, and you got a problem.
Okay. I just thought
But I
that,
think the zoning officer should be there, yes.
okay, as a non-voting.
Yes. You want to second that, or?
Yep.
Roll call.
Berkeley.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Longo. Yes. Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Now may I read on? Let's see. 11-2023, an ordinance amending Chapter 250 of the Township Code of West Hampton zoning. Your motion.
Berkeley move.
Second.
Open the public hearing.
Yeah, any public comment?
So this is the fences.
9B.
So again, Mayor, I'd ask that the comments already made regarding the fences be added to the record as part of the public hearing.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think Gary finished his points though, right? You did not finish earlier, correct?
Came up for a fresh 3 minutes. Nah, I wasn't. Come on.
Yeah, for the record, Gary Barbarian, 138 Winstead, on this second reading of 11-2023. Sandy, I take your point to heart. I really understand what you were saying about, do we have sort of different fences? But you got to remember when this ordinance was first passed, when these developments were built by Hovnanian back in 1980s. These specific developments contained housing for low-income folks.
Minor. Okay.
So there's an element there. We don't really talk about it now, but I think that should be acknowledged as why the Township Committee at that time felt that they needed to pass an ordinance mandating a specific type, material, size, color, etc. of fencing. It does not impact any other development in all of West Hampton. Only those developments that contain housing for low-income
Don't they have something in Deerwood?
folks that qualify.
They do have something in Deerwood. You can only have metal fencing.
Mayor, that's separate. Those would be deed restrictions, which would
Right.
still apply. And I think what Gary is saying is the only neighborhoods that don't either have an existing deed restriction, which would restrict the fence, any fence or the type of fence, or have a homeowners association which could override what's set forth in the ordinance would be low-income, the low-income affordable housing.
I understand what he said.
I don't know if that's accurate, but.
That is, and we've come a long way since that time period, right? As a society, we've really progressed. I think that speaks to itself. I can certainly discuss that a little bit further. I'm just talking about the practicalities of the fence itself. My issue, like I said, was with the 79 words, especially that comma, because if you read it, and this is what I was saying, look, I'd love to take you shopping with me. We'll go out and have a good time afterwards, right? If you don't want to go shopping with me physically, we can do it virtually. I just did this on Mr. iPad here.
Nah, we going.
If you just go to the big box retailer that's orange, and you just filter for board on board, I'll show you. You get, a fence that I can't buy according to this ordinance. It's white, and it's a vinyl fence that's board on board. I can't buy it because the ordinance says it's got to be, natural color wood. So if I do the same filtering and apply it to wood, there's my one choice to buy. That's it. I'm restricted. I cannot buy, and I can earn the money, but I can't spend it the way I want to spend it. I now have to sort of say, okay, you tell me how I can spend my money, and you're doing
And
that.
Gary, we can discuss it as a committee because we still have to look at this for 14 days and discuss it. I would tell you, I'm not married to it. Like, I'm just giving you, you know me, I'm just giving you my point of view, but I'm not married to whether someone can paint the fence or not. I'm just giving you the other side of it from what I see, and I live in Spring Meadow, right? So, I mean, it's something that we got 14 days and we can discuss it again when we get up here.
And fair point. I mean, honestly, then solicit the appraiser, solicit real estate agents, and find out, what would a home value be like if someone was able to erect a fence of their choosing, or would that stop someone from moving in and paying a higher price for a home? I would get their opinions as well. It was brought up in public comment. Someone said, to maximize the value of typically your greatest asset in your portfolio. I'm not opposed to changing the ordinance. I want it actually amended. I want to have more freedom, better consumer choices, etc. This is extremely restrictive. I thought the issue was one of grammar. That's why I was saying, let's rewrite these 79 words, and let's do a little better job of sort of changing the text of the language. I understand. You have to represent everybody. I'm just one opinion. I'm just sharing my public comment on this. And like I said, the other issue is really one of just fundamental fairness. There's people that believe in the civil contract of society, follow the law. There's people that choose to pick and follow what they want. I have, in my development, folks that have done that. There are non-conforming fences. It's not fair. So just look at it from an equity standpoint. Why should I be punished because I happen to be a law-abiding citizen? So, I really would hope that, I'm not sure what you have to do here. Can you move the table this? Or if you have to vote on it, I would just urge you to vote no on it. What's the flow here?
Mayor, I would need a motion to amend
I don't mind
or
amending.
table.
You want to amend? You guys want to amend it?
Well, you said you had 14 days. This is the second
So
reading.
you want,
Yeah.
this is the second reading of the ordinance, so if you voted on it today, it would be to adopt it or to
You have to table it.
defeat it, or there could be a vote to table it and be considered at the
You
next
want to
meeting.
table it and then look at it again?
Just want to state for the record my position. If you're going to vote on it, I would urge you to vote no, or alternatively,
It's not nice
vote to
to
table it
I would say
and get it right. That's
two-
my suggestion.
Two people commented today on the fences. My personal observation, my personal feeling is that I agree with the arguments made on the fences.
Fine by me.
As such, Mayor, I motion to table.
Table, yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
One moment. Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo?
Yeah.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Gary, could you stand up, please? I would like to know what you mean by that element that came into low-income housing.
Gary's not on trial here.
Yeah, Gary doesn't have to stand. Roll them.
What do you mean by that element?
I'm
'Cause you
talking,
know what, when I first started teaching, I could have been able to get a low-income house. I made $13,000. Am I a part of that element? Who are you referring to? Because I'm not happy.
I think the demographics at that time, the township were looking at different residents meeting a different demographic. That's really what I'm talking about.
Different residents, what?
Different demographic.
Yeah, but what were you talking about? Who were you talking
Gary,
about?
you don't have to answer this line of
Yeah.
question. You don't have to.
That's my statement.
Thanks.
Still open? Is it?
No, you want to, we got,
Yeah, one more ordinance.
oh,
Is it still open, I guess?
oh, we closed it.
We didn't,
I just want to make a comment. So I see the pattern of tabling these ordinances. Is there a way, do you have like a workshop now that we can work together for discussion regarding, since you're tabling to go over it again?
So when we vote on it, we can rediscuss, right? Like when we vote, we have a discussion part.
Yeah, on adoption, there's a requirement that there's a public hearing for public to have input on it. The fences, actually, there was workshops, I believe there was 2 workshops in September, month might be off, September or October on this, and it just doesn't seem like there's consensus yet,
Okay.
so.
Just for the chickens too, I mean.
That was the
We did a lot of chicken talk too.
I mean, there's a lot of.
That was tabled because of
Continuance.
amendments and the posting of
Yeah,
10 days.
posting of the time needs to be 10 days. No worries. 13-2023, an ordinance amending the Chapter 82 of the Township Code of West Hampton, alcoholic beverages.
Move Berkeley.
A second.
Public comment? Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Resolution 16-23, payment of vouchers.
Mayor, did we get public comment on that?
Nobody came up.
For alcoholic beverages?
I said public comment.
Okay, I'm sorry,
That's
just
all right.
missed that.
Resolution 166-23, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills through 12/05/2023. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Any discussion?
Who was the second?
Janelle.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with a single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. I will ask that we table 167-23, the resolution to renew the shared service agreement with the Land Development
Thank you.
Board Secretary. Is everybody okay with that? Or do we have a motion? I shouldn't ask if you guys are okay.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
So now we have the resolution left, the 168-23, resolution for acceptance of NJD HTS grants. Do you have a motion?
So move Berkeley.
Second.
Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
We now open the meeting for
Mayor
public...
Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
We will now open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, and I'm reminding myself, this is for comment only. It is not intended as a question and answer period. If you would like a response, please leave your contact information on the podium so that we can respond appropriately. Close for public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dates to remember. Next township meeting will be December 19th at 7 p.m. Historic Commission will be December 27th at 7 p.m. Land Development Board will be December 6th at 7 p.m. Recreation Committee meeting will be December 13th at 7 p.m. Holiday House Decorating Contest, December 11th through 25th. Christmas Tree Lighting Celebration at the Firehouse, December 7th at 7 p.m. Senior Holiday Dinner, December 14th. Santa Around Town, December 12th through December 14th. Note, the free rabies clinic will be rescheduled to February 17, 2024. Administrator's report?
Thank you, Mayor Henley. There's something from Public Works that I just wanted to read that was posted on our website and social media today, so I'm just going to read verbatim what it says. With the uptick of social media posts about concerns within the township, this is a great opportunity to reintroduce everyone to GovPilot. The township has in place a very effective tool to voice resident concerns and problems. GovPilot gives residents the opportunity to send their concerns directly to the offices that it affects. For example, Public Works, Code Enforcement, Administration, etc. In turn, this gives the township direct communication and accurate information to the residents. The GovPilot portal can be found on the homepage of the West Hampton Township website under Report a Concern. The Director of Public Works can also be reached via telephone and via email, which are also provided on our Facebook and our website pages. I also wanted to give a quick update on the Spring Meadows Playground. We had some concerns about some of the leaching that was coming out of the ground. This is due to the new installation of the playground equipment and our inability to receive clean topsoil. So what you're seeing is tannins from the soil from mulch and leaves that had been, I guess, fermenting in this soil that are discoloring the water that's coming out from the ground. We are going to begin a proper installation of drainage within the next 2 weeks to resolve the issue. And we're doing our best to clean it up as quickly as we can when it does rain. But it is not toxic to anyone.
I just rode by there today. I can see they're doing work on it. They already have it dug up.
I also wanted to note that with the free rabies clinic, I have begun posting some of the local townships that I'm getting information from for their free rabies clinic that is before ours. So residents are able to go to any free rabies clinic. It does not have to be West Hampton Township. You can go to any township and utilize their free rabies clinics. So if you look on Facebook and on the township website, as I get the information, I will continuously update it with the new sites that people can go to. And again, as was stated at the last meeting, anyone who needs to come to our free rabies clinic, if you come to the clinic that day, your late fee will be waived. That's all.
Thank you.
Wendy?
Ma'am.
Did we have an engineer approve the playground site and how it was put together before we did it? I would think that they would have caught that.
The playground equipment replaced the original footprint of the playground equipment that was already there, and the playground equipment dealer, I guess you could call them, or the vendor, supplied the proper equipment for that placement. We don't need to involve the township engineer to replace a proper footprint.
Thank you.
Madam Administrator, I would ask that Chris document and categorize the complaints he's getting in GovPilot and include it on his report and the disposition of those complaints if possible.
You got it.
Thank you.
Committee liaison reports, any comments?
I don't have any reports, but I did want to thank, once again, the residents to come out and discuss your concerns either way, for or against any of the ordinance or anything that's going on, so that we're able to hear you and kind of put everything into perspective. And it's just nice. That's what it's all about, is, hearing from both sides and then us trying to, come up with a consensus that will hopefully appease most, I guess we could say. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, we'll see each other again before the holidays, but Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you may celebrate. I hope you enjoy the time with your family or alone, however you choose to celebrate it. Just wanted to say congratulations to Mayor Henley and Deputy Mayor Mungo.
And happy Hanukkah. I also want to agree and thank people for coming out, and I know we have a difference of opinion. And I just hope that we can accept that, as we said, each person here has one vote, and we need to be able to rise above it. And if somebody's not going to get what they want, they have to still accept that and live peacefully with your neighbors, and I hope that happens, because I think we have a good thing going. We can't let things like this and disagreements break us up. On a better positive note, and she is here tonight, Vanessa Nichols has been a Board of Education member for 26 years. This is her last year. She decided not to run. She was vice president and president of the board more than once. And I'd like to thank you, Vanessa. She is one of the people on the Board of Education who asks questions. And as you could tell, she comes every prepared and has all her ducks lined up. And she is one historically who has been around a long time and has been able to advise the board on, yes, we tried this in the past and it worked, and yes, we tried this in the past and it didn't work. So, Vanessa, I hope you still come to Board of Education meetings and give your input. But I would like to thank you for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone that came out. Thank you for the discussion. I think it is, our job to make sure that we try to represent the most of we try to represent the majority of West Hampton and try to make sure everyone gets to live in harmony, but everyone gets some advantages to do some different things. If there is such a change as far as with the chickens, but we're also changing the fences that people have complained about for a long time. And we're trying to get that right, and we're going to try to get the chicken thing right. And I think if nothing else, we're dedicated to trying to get it right. And that's kind of what we've been over and over again. So to be able to demonstrate that again in front of the people who are here, I think, speaks volumes. I always say that the committee is a very diverse committee of different shapes and sizes, different beliefs and not. And I think that that's what is important. You get to hear everybody's spill, everybody's part, and you get to be able to take that in and able to reassess it and just try to do the best that you possibly can. So I'm thankful for the residents, and I'm thankful for the committee as well as the professionals that are involved in that process. And I'd like to also thank Dr. Nichols for her. I know it's not easy. So, anytime that you're involved and you have to, voice your opinions, and maybe it isn't always popular, and maybe it doesn't always agree with everyone, but you feel in your heart it's the right thing. It takes a lot of courage, and to be able to do it for the amount of time you've been able to do it, listen, I salute you, and I appreciate your service, ma'am. So, with that being said, we have executive session, resolution number 12-523, resolution authorizing the Township Committee and staff and support staff to meet in private session, authorizing the exclusion of the public from that portion of the meeting dealing with specific issues requiring non-public discussion, attorney-client privilege personnel. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
One moment.
Huh?
Barclay?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Mungo?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. I think I might take another.